Hey, it's football and other F words, and hopefully everybody can hear us. I'm Zach already in the chat, the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
We're on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live.
Mhm.
Zach Lyons. We're at we're in the Lioness office. The
Oh,
Lioness
is that
Den.
right? Okay.
Not my office, but is my
Yeah.
wife's office.
This is a beautiful office.
She did all this
I'm
herself.
jealous. This is lovely.
I didn't have to help one bit. She painted. She made these, whatever you want to call these wall features.
Yeah.
She picked out the furniture, all that kind of stuff.
These chairs are comfortable.
Very comfortable.
Oh.
We got Havana and Huxley are chilling. Definitely don't put anything that they can chew on in the floor.
Okay.
Like that very nice draft notebook.
My backpack.
The backpack's fine, probably.
But she was chewing on it.
Oh well, yeah, but that's fine.
It was just the strap,
Yeah.
She's like, look. She's like, no, you can't move that.
You can't see her, but yeah, you can. I think. Yep, you can see her head.
Yeah.
So we're here. Couldn't be in studio, producer issues and stuff like that. But hey, we're gonna bring you some good content today. Again, football and other F words. I'm Zach Lyons, Stoney Keeley, Hot Read Podcast, stackingtheinbox.com, SoBersNetwork.com. Anything else I'm missing?
I think that's it. I think we hit it all.
So let's start right here. Here we go. I fucking hate the Volunteers. Every prospect I've watched on offense or defense has been so misused.
Just doxing
Nico fucking sucks too. It's the fourth quarter of the Florida game, and they have just now put Dante Thornton in. What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
Guy runs a 4-3, and they have him as Brew McCoy's fucking backup in this game.
Yeah.
This 500-pound fat fuck defensive tackle for Florida fucking rules, though. So that is your analysis for
that is my analysis. Yeah,
the game.
I was fired up when I was firing that off in the group chat. I was texting that to you, wasn't I? I'm frustrated even on defense. I don't feel like they knew how to use Omar Norman Lott.
Omar Norman Lott.
Omar Norman Lott, that's his name. I don't feel like they used him sparingly, and I don't know, this guy looks like a really explosive, bursty 3-tech type that can really, rush the passer, move, knife through gaps, get to the quarterback, and he's just out there as a rotational guy. Like, I'm having to filter through plays just to find him out there. And the stuff, I don't remember if I said it was the Florida or the Oklahoma game. I think it was the Florida game, yeah, where they didn't have Dante Thornton out there because until Brew McCoy needed a break. I'm like, come on, this guy's runs a 4-3.
But for full disclosure,
gosh,
you would probably do the same thing because you fucking love Brew McCoy for some reason.
I said,
I don't know why. But
I said there's something to Brew McCoy. Yeah. And that has somehow turned into I love Brew McCoy.
I mean, you're like Brew McCoy pill.
I think if you brought him in as an undrafted free agent, I think he could do something. I'm really intrigued.
Like Nick Westbrook in 5 years. So
yeah, something like that. Something like that. I'm really interested at. Somebody said he's going to be a good tight end for somebody as a joke, but that might be the case. He could play tight end, maybe. I don't know. I think there's a really interesting physical skill set. I love the body. Really, really jacked, squared up dude at the receiver position. I just think there's something to him. That's all. I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting opportunity every year to kind of go back and study the Vols offense too and look at how they use these guys. And it's stupid.
So Zach initially said yippee.
Yeah.
Okay, when he joined, and then he goes not very yippee anymore.
Because we're just slandering the Vols.
Yeah, I just called you out on Twitter too, try to get more people in.
It's not the players' fault.
Right.
It's this coaching staff.
So let me ask you a question. You say Nico fucking sucks too.
Oh man.
Now I don't know if you've seen this, but we got a few things from on3.com.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They first off, Andy Staples, who covers college football, doesn't have him in his top 10 quarterbacks heading into the 2024 season, preseason rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Agree?
Off the top of my head, yeah, probably. I'm not as big on DJ Lagway as some of the people.
He had him number one.
Yeah, that seems a little crazy. And I have watched a little bit of him just by virtue of watching a lot of SEC football this draft cycle. And I think he's probably better than Graham Mertz, who's in this class. But I don't know that I would have him number one overall.
Okay, so
But
but
Nico,
what about Nico in the top 10?
I'd see. This is where you get into. I mean, I love Sam Levitt. I'm a
Okay.
big Drew Aller fan. I
You
like
you and Tristan love Sam Levitt.
Sam Levitt's good, man. I think Sam
Where do you put
Levitt's gonna.
Noah Fafita?
Noah Fafita is he's after Nico. He's on down the list.
Okay.
He's just I told you about Noah Fafita. I like watching him because he has the drunkest quarterback tape I've ever watched.
Okay, so you wouldn't put him in top 10.
No.
Now he's asking for more money.
Yeah.
Do you-
Supposedly.
supposedly. I mean, I think he is. I mean, like apparently this has been been coming. Like this is not
it's not
a
surprising anymore.
surprise. But a lot of people, when we have talked about this draft class in 2025,
Mhm.
have pointed to the 2026 draft class as being better. Quite possibly could be true.
Could be, yeah.
But a lot of fans, I think, say that because they think Nico's going to be there or Arch Manning's going to be there, and Arch Manning's likely not going to be there. And I have to say, I don't think Nico. I think Nico is mid.
Yeah, some of the stuff like just the I don't know. It just doesn't look like a very he doesn't strike me as like a very natural thrower of the football. You know,
Right.
like you watch quarterbacks sometimes where it's like there's a disconnect between like when the decision needs to be made and when it's actually made. And that was kind of like I just kept watching him throw these balls like this is not this is what we're saying, like pass on Cam Ward or Shador Sanders for next year.
Right.
Like, there's no way. I mean, I haven't like gotten into the tape to like break down the throwing mechanics and the decision making and the form and the arm and all that stuff. But just watching it, trying to wrap up my eval on Dante Thornton was just like, man, I don't
And
know
again, it
what
could be
this guy
scheme
is.
related, right? We're
It
talking
could
about
be,
one of the
yeah.
top recruits
Which is
in
something,
the nation.
yeah, something that I wrote about recently on Stacking the Inbox was a sort of a profile of Brew McCoy, but more of an expanded look at the Vols offense and how Josh Heupel has done something really interesting in Knoxville, where he's kind of set this scheme up to where it almost doesn't matter who comes in because the scheme itself is the weapon based on alignment, spacing, tempo alone. Like those things in and of themselves make this offense successful. So it's really interesting to look at that. And even looking back at Hendon Hooker and how he ran the offense and the success that they had. Everything okay? Are they
No,
up to
no, I don't
something?
have no clue where they're at. So,
Are they-
like, I hope they're okay. I haven't
Yeah,
heard anybody
okay.
tumble down the stairs.
Okay,
So,
good. So I think it is I think it's good for the college game,
yeah.
right? It's good for Josh Heupel's job security that this system is in place and it works. I
And
think it,
quarterback agnostic for the most part.
yeah, and I think it makes it really, really difficult to determine what these wide receivers actually are, which is weird because I said I saw it with Omar
Yeah.
Norman a lot too, because you see it on the defensive side too. They just rotate guys. There's just guys
Yeah.
in and out the whole
Ridiculous.
game. So I felt like they could have used him better. And then on offense, I feel like you probably could have used Dante Thornton a lot better than they actually did. Does the chat hate me now? Is everybody tuned
the
out?
chat is unusually quiet.
Well, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning going on.
Yeah,
People
but I
are
mean, it's not like it's
hunkered
just a severe
down.
thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Talk about the Texas offense because obviously Isaiah Bond is going to be a big talking point.
Yeah.
Right now because
Yeah.
the Tennessee Titans have shown tremendous interest in Isaiah Bond.
Mhm.
Mike Bergonzi has shown when I had a discussion with him at the Senior Bowl, he's like at some point talent outweighs everything.
Yeah.
But this Texas offense is really weird too.
Yeah.
And it may be quarterback driven, but it feels like it's just deep routes and trick plays for whatever fucking reason. And I know everybody praises Sark for these clever trick play designs that work.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like anything else is really that devious or genius or anything like that.
Yeah, so I think the difference, if we're shifting gears from the Vols offense, where they kind of space the formations out wide, and I mean like they have to zoom out on the all 22 from the sideline angle. It's hard to watch because you have to like sometimes zoom in, like you can't even read the numbers. Maybe I'm just blind, but you can't even really read the numbers on the jersey because they are sideline to sideline stretched out. And you see the impact that has on the spacing of the defense. They have to stretch out as well to cover all these guys. And the subsequent impact is either you've got wide open zones that the wide receivers can break in on a slant and take advantage of. You've got one-on-one matchups that a guy like Brew McCoy, you get him, a few yards up the field and he can win a contested catch. Or you get, lighter boxes. They pull people out to cover the space and then they can run the ball more effectively. With the Texas offense, it's different. It's almost like they're stressing the defense vertically. There's a lot of multi-layered, multi-level route concepts where you've got one guy going deep, one guy going mid-range, and one guy going as a safety valve. So you see, when I was watching Isaiah Bond this week, I noticed this. You see him running a lot of those go routes where it's just take off running, get down the field, maybe draw a defender with you, maybe kind of loosen things up underneath. And then guess what? Matthew Golden's going to run a slant route in and he's going to be open or he's going to be isolated one-on-one because the safety's pulled back with Isaiah Bond. So you see the I almost said the rub and tug there. You see the rub and tug there. The tug of war there with the defense is like there's a lot of guys to defend vertically. And I think Gunnar Helm perfectly fine safety valve, getting out to the flat is that like first level. And when they do drop back deep, you can see them run the ball a little more effectively. There's a lot of running at the perimeter in that offense too. Swing passes, real routes by the running or wheel routes by the running back, that sort of thing. And so it's another, the difference I would say is that if you're a quarterback in Sarkisian's system, I feel like you do have to be a better facilitator of the ball. You do have more reads to go through, and that's why I think Quinn Ewers, I've described him as a sort of point guard, like the short to intermediate stuff, the gadget plays like you talked about.
Yeah.
He's really good at running that offense, keeping it on schedule, on time, and finding the short intermediate guy that's open and getting him the ball. Like I don't like his deep throwing. I know, he's got a strong enough arm, but you see that throwing motion, the balls drift. I think he's right-handed, so he throws it, whips it, and it drifts to the left down the field. So what do we got here?
Well, so TJ Strickler wants to know the rub and tug. Wouldn't that work better for Deshaun Watson? Eric B. Jones asks, y'all think the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward for sure? Yes, outside of a trade back.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't think there's anything really realistic about trade back because that's the episode. Like, I think Cam Ward is going to be drafted. Now it's time to build. Now the question becomes, how do you build around Cam Ward with the rest of the draft?
I have framed my feelings on this. I feel resolved here 2 weeks out from the draft that there are two possible outcomes. Either it's Occam's razor, they're going to draft Cam Ward, or it's going to be the greatest draft ruse of all time.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. So, I mean, that comes down to now what's the best approach to build around Cam Ward? Because obviously the Titans have need at edge. I know they have Draymond Jones. I know they have Lorenzo Carter, Arden Key, and Jalen Harrell, but those are all just dudes.
Yeah. You need a thoroughbred.
I want to talk about and Coach Will says trade up nonsense, unnecessary noise. And we're 2 weeks out. Now that we're 2 weeks out means that everything should be taken a little bit more seriously.
It's crunch time.
But we were building the big board earlier today.
Yes.
I was the horizontal, vertical big board. And it's like, I don't know if Luther, we saw the Panthers last year trade up for Xavier Legette. They gave up their 33rd overall pick and 140, I think 142 or 141.
Okay.
Yeah, 141. They give up their 33rd overall pick and 141 overall to move up to 32 in the first round to draft Xavier Legette. It's obviously just a one space difference.
Right.
But they did that to try to build around Bryce Young.
Sure.
So the what came out from Matt Miller today was that, hey, they're going to be ultra aggressive at wideout. That may include trading up. And so I'm kind of looking, okay, well, if Xavier Legette was 141 was the only thing they had to throw in.
Yeah.
Well, you have 120.
Yeah.
So you could probably go up a little bit further if you wanted to get a Luther Burden or a Mika Igbokwe. I'm not necessarily sure that is nonsense or noise. I think that's just strategy when you
Well,
start to see maybe who falls and who doesn't.
yeah, and context is important too. The report says may.
Yeah, May.
They may trade up. And, that could be anything from a conversation with somebody that just says, well, yeah,
They've kind of poked around.
if the right player's there, you're like, yeah, you're you're not doing your due diligence if you are not open to any potential outcome and exploring every possibility to help your team. And when you're building around a young quarterback, that includes getting him a crop of weapons.
Well, the king right here. Now, I forgot that I'm actually now that Jay Wills is still alive. He's just dog sitting. But now I could put chat things up on the video, and the king has a really good one.
Oh, how about that?
Everyone
Yeah.
had Leggett going second round that draft too,
Yeah.
and a lot of people have Luther Burden falling or Emeka Egbuka falling.
Yeah.
And my opinion is that you only have one top 100 pick. If you think that Luther Burden is worth, or Emeka Egbuka is worth the 5th round option,
hmm
and worth trading a 4th round pick to get up and get that, do it.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You may not have a trade back partner. What if all the quarterbacks that I think that are not going the first round actually do go the first round? Well, nobody's going to want to trade up.
Yeah.
Now, that could mean that Luther Burden or Emeka Egbuka falls, but then you have the Browns ahead of you and the Giants ahead of you that could probably say, hey, man, what if we paired Emeka Egbuka with Malik Neighbors?
Yeah.
What if we paired Luther Burden with, gosh,
David
what
Njoku.
receivers do they even fucking have in Cleveland?
David Njoku.
I mean, right? I mean, like a Travis Hunter, I guess.
Yeah, Travis Hunter and Luther Burden the third would be would be nice.
That would be pretty fucking nice for whatever quarterback they may be having. So, like, to me, even if it took 103, and I know Coach Wills, he says but we can't trade 103. It would be worth it. And here's why.
Yeah.
Because only 6% of edge rushers get 5 sacks on day 3.
Yeah.
Since 2015, only 11% of wide receivers get 500 yards. You're almost guaranteed at the very minimum, the very minimum, 500 yards from one of these wide receivers. Obviously, injuries come into play, but neither of these guys are Treylon Burks at this point.
So what do you do at edge if this is the route you go?
Because just pray. Well, I mean, pretty much. I mean,
I
sign Zadarius Smith. Throw more money at Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's a potential option. I do think this is a really rich edge class, and I know the precedent might not necessarily be on their side, but there are some guys that I do think you could get on day 3 that could be.
They're better than what you have now.
Yeah, I also think there's a feeling inside the building that if they just got healthy, got everybody on the same page at the right time, and if they improve the run defense from the linebacker position, the safety position, I think the thinking is, man, we could have been a lot better. And so by virtue of that, there could be, I'm not saying I know this for sure, I'm just speculating. There could be a feeling in the building of like, hey, we might be able to make do with what we have because other areas of the defense are getting healthy and they're getting back.
That
Xavier Woods, Cody Barton, improving.
Jeffrey Simmons not playing through injury if he's still there.
Yeah.
Roger McCreary if he's still there.
Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed if he's still there. I mean, like there's a lot of people.
I'm just saying as a potential line of thinking, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that they could feel that way in the building.
And Coach Wills does say like 35 and 103 to move up to go from 25 to 32 until 120 is a hard pill to swallow. But Coach Wills, there are players you could trade to fill that void.
Oh, here we go.
You could trade Roger McCreary. You could maybe package Will Levis with another day 3 pick to get a 3rd round pick. You could trade Jeffrey Simmons for a 2nd and a 3rd.
Yeah, we're going to lose Coach Wills. First, we're talking about trading up, and now we're talking about trading Roger McCreary.
I'm just saying that there's a lot of ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
And you're a cat owner, so you would know.
Yeah, I skin cats all the time.
Yes.
I think you said something very pointed when we were out back watching the dogs run around, a nice peaceful moment before going live here. You said this front office is not loyal to any of
They're
these
not.
J. Rob ran holdovers. So if there's an opportunity to make the team better and they feel like they can do that by moving some of these guys, I think they will.
Because they're in a rebuild. People kind of have lost that narrative a little bit because
Because
of the
Cam
Cam
Ward
Ward
is
stuff,
going to turn it around.
which I wish everybody would quit talking about.
I do
Fucking
too.
well, I wish everybody would quit hyping up Cam Ward at this point. I
Yeah.
can't stand another video with just bullshit. Like I get it. We love to have comps, and I get that we love to have clout. But the Steve McNair comparisons, the Patrick Mahomes comparisons, the videos that call him elite or generational, he has a lot of above average traits. I don't know if he has an elite trait.
Yeah,
Does
I
not
agree.
mean that he cannot be an elite quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Lamar Jackson didn't really have any elite traits outside of maybe his athleticism.
I would say the athleticism.
But
for sure.
I mean, like elite quarterback traits and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like we got to slow down. So I think we've lost this idea that, oh well, you're getting the sunshine pumped up your asshole
Yeah.
about Cam Ward, and we're forgetting they're rebuilding.
Yeah.
Now, can Cam Ward come in and be Jaden Daniels or I would even say CJ Stroud. Their rebuild kind of got completed pretty quick with 2 first-round picks and some of the
Mhm.
other guys drafted. But can he come in and be Jaden Daniels? You want him to. You hope he is.
Yeah.
But let's be a little realistic here. This is a
I'm with you.
rebuild. And, I know people love Jeffrey Simmons, and I know people love Roger McCreary, and I know nobody likes Will Levis.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Roger McCreary and Big Jeff, I wouldn't really agree, but I would understand it.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of ways where you may be able to pick up ground. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use maybe a Will Levis as backup quarterback.
Sure, and there may be teams out there, we hear it all the time, coaches that see a guy and think I can fix him.
Yeah.
See the talent and think we can work with this guy. I mean,
And listen, this is an easy division. But
yeah.
again, what's better long term? Because that's what they've been talking about.
Mhm.
Everybody's thinking short term still with Cam Ward and thinking, oh, he's going to be this. He's going to be Steve McNair,
It's
who had to sit for 3 years, everybody.
yeah,
He's going to
man.
be Patrick Mahomes, who sat for a year, everybody. So, to me, I just look at it and I go, guys, this is about sustained success, and Cam Ward, as a rookie, can be a part of that sustained success.
Yeah.
But these other players may not be.
Yeah. It
Just saying.
it strikes me as the same thing that happened last offseason in a different avenue. It was just like everybody kind of made peace with how the season ended. Like, oh, the Titans are not very good.
Eddie's
It's
in the chat. He's not very happy with our Roger McCreary.
I'll explain that.
Yeah.
I don't mind
We
that. Don't
talked
let
about it
me.
yesterday with Blaine on cover 2
Yeah,
as well, saying that, look at who they're bringing in.
Upton Stout, Robert Longerbeam, Quincy Riley
Yeah.
might be a slot in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Corey Chavis said that he was on there kind of like Jarvis Brownlee Jr. And listen, Blaine made up a great point, is that what if they draft an outside corner, move Jarvis Brownlee to
That's another option as well.
the
Yeah,
inside,
there's some
and
great
then Roger
guys.
McCreary's expendable. And
Yeah,
I like Roger McCreary. You like
I
Roger
love Roger
McCreary.
McCreary.
I like Jeff Simmons, the player. You like Jeff Simmons, the player. But these are movable pieces outside of Amani Hooker and Will Levis. These are movable pieces
Yeah,
where maybe you get something that helps you out better long term. And isn't it better to take advantage of, instead of paying $20 million for Jeffrey Simmons right now, save $8 million against the cap for next year, but you
hmm
also save around $10 million, $8 million in cash, or $18 million in cash, and you take advantage of a supply, a,
yep,
a dearth of defensive tackle hog mollies that can likely provide you in the aggregate the same amount as what you can get from Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, and man, listen, like you said, I'm a big fan of Jeff. He's played a lot of good football for this team. He's been a really fun watch. Hell, me and my wife took our engagement photos doing Jeff's flex pose outside of Nissan Stadium. Been big fans of him for a long time, but you also wonder what good is it if he gets hurt again and he
Right.
can't play at all. So I don't know. You and I were kind of talking about it. I feel like they're going to take a defensive lineman at some point in this draft,
Even if
regardless.
Big Jeff's here, by the way.
Even if Big Jeff is
we
here.
we are defensive lineman pilled.
But I think that if you trade him and you pick up another day 2 pick, there's going to be a guy from that group. I love TJ Sanders. We've talked about Ty Robinson. I'm a big fan of Ty Robinson. There's going to be guys that are going to be available that I think could make maybe not as big of an impact. Well, as big of an impact if Jeffrey Simmons is hurt again, for sure.
Right.
But I think they can make enough of an impact paired with Tavondre Sweat, Sebastian Joseph Day, who's coming back, Draymond Jones, and maybe other guys that they bring in to compete. I think you take that in exchange for the extra compensation in the draft. And maybe you get a little bit ahead of the goodbye.
Well,
that eventually.
You also have to remember that Big Jeff was a hot commodity at the trade deadline last year, and Rand Carthon decided no. And to me, I'm like, well, what does this regime want to do?
Well, yeah. And I know like the coaches love Jeffrey Simmons too, but it comes back to the messaging about the long-term health of the franchise.
Deion Walker is a guy that I thought was interesting, but I don't want to get too deep into the hog mollies just quite yet. But this is more about the trade up, but there's also about the trade back. If anybody, so Pat Kerwin on SiriusXM said the Titans could probably trade back from 235, 35. I should probably just say 35 overall, and pick up 2 first-round picks. What's interesting, or 2 second-round picks.
I was about to say what?
Sorry. 2 second-round picks.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that? What is interesting about that is that Jordan Dejaney did a 7-round mock draft today, and he did the same thing, picking up 2 second-round picks, but he did it with Buffalo. I don't know who Pat Kerwin did it with.
So this idea might be floating out there, is what you're saying.
So that's what it kind of sounds like.
There's the little momentum building,
and then it becomes, you hope in that case that Luther Burden and Egbuka are gone.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: do you think moving back to the 50s, picking up another second rounder in the 60s, is worth passing on Egbuka and Burden?
Oh man, I would probably say so. And I like Burden and Egbuka quite a bit. I think both of those guys are going to be studs in the NFL.
Yeah.
But I think getting the opportunity to build out your roster a little more, and I don't know, maybe it was just because I had kind of grown so accustomed to the idea that they were just going to clean up receiver on day 3 that maybe I've talked myself into it a little more. But yeah. I would like the chance to get more picks in the middle of this draft, because I think it's loaded with guys that are going to start and contribute.
Let me ask you this question, and this is for Bert. Burton for squirting in the chat.
Burton for squirting.
Burton for squirting.
Put the tarps down.
We're gonna take a pause, because we're talking about, technically we talk about wide receivers, but we need to talk about edge when you start trading back. Where would you draft David Walker, and what do you think about David Walker?
First of all, never mind, I'm not going to say that. We're on the I would take David Walker with one of the 4th round picks.
With one of the 4th?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you like about David Walker?
I think he is a Tasmanian devil. Mm-hmm. I think he is bursty. I think he has some real pass rush chops. I look at the size and the frame. I'm at least open to a conversation about looking at it through a different lens. People say he's small. I do think he can kind of get punched out a little bit, but he has some reps where he's hand in the dirt, power rusher, and he won with some of those moves at the Senior Bowl too against guys that'll be playing in the NFL. I think you can look at it as, well, it's a light frame, but there's also a part of me that watches the way he plays, and I think his shorter, stumpier frame helps him because he already has like a natural pad level advantage against the guys that he's taking on. And he's got really powerful hands. So I understand the concerns, but I think in a way it makes him a little bit more difficult to wrangle in conjunction with his pass rush toolkit. I think he's I think he's going to be a hellraiser. Maybe not the guy you want out there in
Yeah.
the NFL playing, 100% of the snaps every game, but I think he can be a dog. I think he can be a dude.
Let's say they get 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Are you going wide receiver edge, or are you going wide receiver, or edge? Or are you just going to go best player available no matter what at that point?
I think I'm probably going best player available because when we were building out our big board, one of the things that I told you about is like I feel like there's a cluster of guys in play at 35, and then you get from those guys that like have some real serious upside to just the belly of the draft that is just full of contributing quality starters. I mean,
Right.
that turd is going to be girthy when it comes out.
That is a girthy turd.
Out of that belly of the draft. I think there's a wide gap between the top 5 guys, and then you get into your Jack Bech, your Alec Iamaner, the Iowa State guys, those caliber. So I still think 2 might be. I don't know. I wouldn't have a problem with Jack Bech or Jaden Higgins in the second round. It would depend how the dominoes fall. My thinking would just be 2 impact players. So I might probably just go best player available.
I look at it like this. It would be really hard for me not to go Moga, make offense great again, and go 2 wide receivers. That's probably why I'm not a GM, by the way, besides, not having ever worked in an NFL team.
I think it could work, though.
I mean, it just looks like to me like if you were able to get both Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins.
I was about to say, what if you got both the Iowa State guys?
Yeah. Like, if you got both those guys, you're fucking cooking.
You're cooking.
You're cooking. You can put Jalen Noel in the slot, Jaden Higgins outside, Calvin Ridley outside, then you can all swap them around.
Yeah, they can all do different things. That was the thing that I liked about Noel is that he looks like a slot, but Iowa State wasn't afraid to put him out wide in one-on-one matches. And the same with Higgins. Like, he looks big, but they played him as a big slot too. So
I want you to just real quick, and we're going a little off course because I know that eventually Bert's going to have to go do Buck Rising's show.
Mm-hmm.
Was that A to Z Prime Time?
I don't know.
Or A to Z Slime Time.
Slime Time.
Slime Time, like Nickelodeon. That's what Bert should do. He should, for an April Fool's joke next year, have a bucket of slime during the show that he can just pull down.
Yeah,
and just slime Buck. Okay, just real quick, Jeffrey Bassa.
What about him?
What do you think?
I like him. I think you already have Jeffrey Bassa and Cedric Gray.
But he's a Ravens fan, so just give your overall view of Jeffrey Bassa.
Okay, I see. So I think he is a jacked, thick linebacker that is pretty tenacious. I think he's a hard-charging run defender. I think he can get to the perimeter and track the running back. I think he's okay in coverage, but I think he really shines as a fill the gap, chase the running back kind of guy. I've seen people have him in the 4th round. I don't know that I necessarily like him that much, but I would tell Bert to go look at the mock draftables between Jeffrey Bassa and Cedric Gray because I think they're very similar in size, build, and then once I saw that, I couldn't get it out of my head because I was like, this really is like watching Cedric Gray tape all over again.
Do they still hate Isaac Tesla, you think?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think they're
hate him.
I think they're
terrible.
done.
Okay, so I look at this wide receiver class, and I think the most interesting prospect is Isaiah Bond.
Yeah.
And for multiple reasons, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like today, let's pull up the statement, but today, I mean, just insanity broke loose. And I sent a message in the group chat that says Borgonzi : with the smiling devil emoji.
That was the horny emoji, though.
Is that the horny emoji?
I meant to tell you that. Yeah, that's
I thought the eggplant was the horny emoji.
No, that's the dick emoji.
Okay. Well, I mean, dicks. I figured.
Purple. I think you need like the actual devil
Oh.
emoji.
Well, this is what it says. So first off, Ian Rappaport says, former Texas wide receiver and current NFL draft prospect Isaiah Bond turned himself in to Frisco, Texas police this morning for a matter related to an outstanding warrant for sexual assault. Frisco PD told the insiders, which, by the way, is just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, Frisco PD told the insiders. He posted Bond and it was subsequently released. A statement from Isaiah Bond, which is probably one of the best, like, well-written press releases I've seen from a football player's press corps.
That Texas money.
It's really good.
He's lawyered up for sure.
He says, regarding the accusation made against me, I would appreciate the time and opportunity to defend myself and prove the claims made patently false. I am in full cooperation with the authorities, will remain a willing and active participant in the investigation. Unfortunately, claims like these prove to be harmful to all involved, absent full review. I kindly request that all reserve judgment until the authorities provide a complete report based on truth and evidence. They have done a formal combine interview, 30 visit coming up.
Touch points.
How does Isaiah Bond fit in this system, and why is he not just Jermaine Burton?
Well, you talk about the speed. You watch him on tape. I described him to you as like he's got the one thing that he does really well, maybe better than just about anybody in this class. I mean, I haven't really stopped to look back at my notes and Travis Hunter go routes, but Isaiah Bond is one of those guys that just from the first step he takes off the line of scrimmage, he's at top speed. And when he's running those go routes, he is separating. And I'm talking like by 2 or 3 yards, and the further downfield he gets, the further he pulls away from the defensive backs. It's just Quinn Ewers didn't see him, wasn't part of the read, or couldn't get the ball to him was the problem. There were a lot of plays that I felt were left on the field where he is just wide open. And that's a skill, man. I mean, just like plain bottom line with Isaiah Bond is this dude is so fast and can get open on anybody. They used him on some of the gadget stuff. They used him on screens where they would get Gunnar Helm from inline, looks like a run formation. Gunnar Helm gets out, blocks the hook wall guy, and then you've got a one-on-one with the receiver blocking his corner. Toss the screen to Isaiah Bond. Everybody's blocked up. It's green grass. He can accelerate. He can turn the corner on guys where it looks like, man, there's plays where it's like the corner has the angle and he's coming in, and then he just takes that extra step, hits that second gear, turns the corner, and he's gone up the sideline. I think in terms of Brian Callahan, I don't know how much of the offense he's going to be really tweaking. I think maybe, I don't know, having a guy like Bond and Ridley on the field at the same time with a double dose of speed there, probably, I think Bond probably excels in the quick game, those quick timing throws where you just get the ball into his hand and he takes it deep. But I think they probably do sprinkle more of those go routes in there, and I think it would be a good complement to the offense.
Well, you got Bond and Ridley. I mean, how much speed would
That's
you
what I'm
have?
saying.
I mean,
like,
it'd be insane.
You could use them both in similar fashions, and just eventually the matchups catch up with the defense where it's like they can only, if you double Ridley and you double Bond, well then, who's guarding the seam, who's guarding the deep third in the middle of the field, the hole, the middle of the field there. Like, you pull those coverages away from other areas, and eventually something's going to open up.
So how high is too high for Isaiah Bond?
Man,
you really like Isaiah Bond. We were talking about,
I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about when we were doing the big board, and you were just kind of like, I don't know. I think I would take him at 35. It's kind of like how it felt.
Well, it was a case of like assuming the character concerns, and this is even the stuff before the incident where he turned himself into police. But like, you got to clear the character concerns. And then my thinking was, okay, if everybody else that you want is gone and you're sold on him, you would
Almost like a Tavondre Sweat situation.
you have to take him at 35 because
Yeah.
he's probably, if everything clears, he's probably not going to be there outside of the top 100.
So at that point, who do you struggle with the most out of the wide receivers? The guy that I struggle with the most out of the top tier wide receivers is Manor, the guy from Stanford.
Yeah.
I just think he's just a dude. And
Well,
like,
just a dude's okay though.
but it's okay, but not at 35.
Yeah.
And I would say that not even in the second round. If you think that there's a reason why he's barely in the top 100
Yeah.
of Dane Brugler's to bees, because I'm like, he just doesn't do anything well. And like, how much blame can we really put on the quarterback?
I thought
and the quarterback's bad, but like, there's some stuff where dude needs to fucking be a man and go up and get the ball. And he did that in 2023, but not 2024. And so, like, I don't know. I look at him and I go, he's like, if you don't like Tatoria McMillan, you shouldn't like Eli Manor, in my opinion.
no, I think
they have the same deficiencies.
No, I think Manor's a really good athlete. I think he's physical.
But that's it. I mean, that's all you're banking on. And man, I don't know. It's just like Adonai Mitchell and Keon Coleman. A bunch of people love those guys. And I'm not saying they're the same wide receiver, but he's just one of those guys where I'm just like, at the next level, I don't think what he does translates well.
I think 35 is too rich, but I like Manor quite a bit. I think he's a good athlete. I don't think the Stanford quarterback situation was as bad as everybody makes it out to be. I watched some of his tape and was like, man, there's some traits here. And I think he transferred to, I can't remember. He's at a different school now that will probably benefit him. And there's a reason there's upheaval at Stanford right now with Frank Reich taking over as head coach. But I think the traits are there. I think Manor was a really good tester. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
I think he's like a 4.44 or something like that. 4.4.
Run blocks with hate in his heart, and I know people cringe when you bring up like run blocking about a guy, but I think he does play hard. I think he wins reps. It's kind of like with Isaiah Bond, where it was like there's times that he's open, the ball just doesn't come to him. And so I think he's capable. I think there are some things that I don't like about him. I think he kind of telegraphs his break a little too much. I hope I'm remembering my notes correctly, but there were times that I felt like he kind of like sank his hips a little too early, let the DB know he's about to break and stop, and allowed the DB to kind of close the window. To me, I think if you can coach him out of that tell, then you're going to see more of the separation stuff from him. But I think he's perfectly fine. I have him in that second tier of guys. It's like him and Jack Besh and the Iowa State guys. I lump them all together there.
Besides T-Mac, who's the guy you find that is overrated?
Overrated.
Or you're lower on than the consensus, because I'm lower on Elick than everybody else.
Oh man, I don't know. I'd have to pull my rankings up off the top of my head. I was lower on Trey Harris, but then Blaine dropped that nugget earlier this week about the route tree at Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to go back and watch some of it because that's my big concern with him. I like him. Physical guy, has the traits, has the
Did you hear what I said on Monday? Or I guess after the Beast. Did you hear what I read about the Beast?
I don't remember.
His dad has worked in the oil fields for 30 years.
Blue collar guy. Yeah. So
that sold Blaine almost immediately.
I'm open to changing my opinion on, I know a good one. Pat Bryant. I never really got anywhere with Pat Bryant. Everybody loves him, but I think he struggled against better competition.
Yeah.
And I think he's one of those guys that, to me, like, I don't know what his path to success is in the NFL because I don't feel like he does anything at a real elite level. So I'm pretty low on him, pretty low on Tez Johnson. I was lower than the consensus on Trey Harris, but after talking him out and hearing you and Blaine talk about him, I think I'd be on board with him. I'll probably move him up my board.
Pat Bryant seems like a good one. I know that there's a couple people that I've talked to that are pretty high on him, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't
I'm
know
kind
about
of
him.
I'm kind of out. I think he's just a guy.
Savion Williams, we're Savion Williams guys. This comes from Zach on the thing.
Yeah, I'm interested. I don't know how the Titans would feel about him because he feels like a gadget guy. I have said he's Devin Hester trapped in Cordero Patterson's body
Yeah.
kind of deal. I think he's a versatile gadget guy. He can play running back, can play tight end, can play wide receiver. I think if you're evaluating him solely as a wide receiver, you've got to do a lot of projection because those reps came few and far between. But really good athlete, fantastic size, looks like the prototype for a wide receiver and adds that versatility and utility. I would like him, but I feel like they're looking at like slot guys and more traditional wide receivers. And I don't feel like that's Williams at all.
So, what's the best route for the Tennessee Titans to build around the quarterback, Cam Ward? Because is it really trading up? Is it being patient? I mean, I would think that trading back is probably the best route.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
How many wide receivers would you draft?
2.
How many tight ends would you draft?
1 late, if at all.
Running back? Would you draft one?
If the situation presented itself, I'm going to say, man, I'm going to say no on the running back.
Really? You wouldn't draft a running back?
Because I think there's going to be a guy like Jarquez Hunter that slips through the cracks.
Okay,
But
I could be on board with that.
There's another aspect of this, too.
Because remember, they don't have a 7th round pick. That's pretty big.
So
people don't think that's big, but that means that you may have to reach for an undrafted free agent in the 6th round if you're afraid.
Yeah.
First off, he won't make it through the 7th round, but then he'll sign somewhere else.
That was what I was about to say. Like the problem with that idea that, oh, well, they can just get an undrafted free agent is that the players have the choice in that matter.
Yeah.
So you're not taking someone to join your team. You're asking someone to join your team and they can tell you no.
Right.
And so that's a risk too. So I don't know. Maybe I would. It's just such a deep class, and I feel like there's going to be talent there.
Would you rather have Damian Martinez in the 5th or Jarquez Hunter as an undrafted free agent?
Man, I like Damian Martinez. I think I'm taking Jarquez Hunter.
Okay.
As an undrafted.
What kind of wide receiver? Here's a good. Ooh, this is really good.
Okay, let's mull this one over.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
What kind of wide receivers does Cam Ward need?
Oh, man.
Not what the Titans need, but what kind of wide receivers does Cam Ward need? Because Kyle Williams, a little bit of improvisation to his game. Xavier Restrepo, I would say, is probably a little bit opposite that.
No, I think they're on the same wavelength.
You think they're on the same wavelength?
Yeah.
So do you think he needs wide receivers that can not only just get open?
I think you've got to have.
He's not afraid to throw the tight window.
I think you have to have savvy guys that understand positioning, spacing, awareness of where the defense is at. Because
top 3 players that do that.
Top 3 players that do that. Oh God, off the top.
Top 3 non-first round grade players.
Non-first round. Jack Besh,
okay,
number 1 on the list. Oh man, I would say. See, I've got all these guys that I've just watched stuck in my head. I can't picture my big board. I think. Oh man, I'm going to struggle with this because I can't picture them off the top of my head. I feel like I've got my notebook here.
I mean, you keep referencing. I need to check my notes, and I'm like,
well, they're just
fucking notebook in your lap.
They're just all over the place. So I think you have to have like an element of backyard ball to your game. I mean,
you know what? You just made Coach Wills very happy. He said backyard football guy.
Yeah, so like all of those Miami guys kind of understand okay, when the play breaks down, when you get, I just wrote a note about somebody that said they get to the top of their route and they keep looking for work if the play is still going. I can't remember. Maybe it was Kamir DK.
That's who I was thinking was Kamir DK.
Kamir DK. But those guys at Miami, they had a nice ability understanding like when the play breaks down, understanding where defenders are at, the spacing, the awareness of where guys are, and the creativity to kind of get to open space. Because that's how you ultimately make big plays when the play breaks down, right? Which we say is a strength of Cam Ward, is that he keeps going. So I think that to me, you've got to have uh, a little bit of that in your wide receiver. I think Xavier Restrepo does that pretty well. I mean, he seems to have chemistry with Cam Ward. You see it quite a bit when the play breaks down.
Egbuka was a guy that you say he keeps moving and looking for work. He doesn't stop at the end of his route. He keeps moving and looking for work. That's Emeka Egbuka.
If we're going to put him in the second round, then yeah, I would absolutely consider that. Yeah, so Egbuka, Jack Besh. Yeah, I got all. There's no organization.
What'd you think of? You may not have heard it, but Blaine said that he would put Jack Besh at tight end.
Why not? I mean, Jack Besh can do anything. I think he's a wide receiver. I think Jack Besh is the closest in this class to Puka Nacua in terms of play style. Just a savvy guy, plays his ass off. I think he's good, man. I think he's got a damn good stutter step, too. He really knows how to attack defensive backs and get them to bite, get them out of position.
Would you rather have Jalen Noel in the second or Xavier Restrepo in the fifth?
Oh, man. I think I'm taking Noel.
Yeah. Is it Noel, not Noel?
I think so. I kept calling him Noel,
why can't these families spell their name right?
But people
Nole is Noel.
Yeah. I'm still trying to find who this. I think it was Kamir DK. It was either Kamir DK or Isaac TeSlaa, which we know.
Well, we know is it TeSlaa?
TeSlaa.
Is it really TeSlaa?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's what they said at the Senior Bowl.
Kamir DK is, I believe, 20. Let's see here.
I just had my Kamir DK notes too.
No.
Oh no! You know what?
What?
Andrew Armstrong.
Oh.
Keeps working at the top of his route to shake the defensive back, find space.
Okay, so Chill Mode here.
Sorry, that was riveting podcasting.
Riveting podcast. Says, I say get Restrepo and Kyle Williams. All of that chemistry is worth it. You can't beat ingrown chemistry.
There you go. Just get them. Why decide when you can have them both?
The question becomes, do you think Kyle Williams can be a true X at the next level? That's
the thing is, I don't feel like Washington State was afraid to use him as an X.
Yeah.
And
he was used as an X throughout the entire time of his career almost.
Part of it too is there are different ways to define X.
Yeah.
So that's part of the conversation too. Some teams call their biggest receiver their X. Some people call their best receiver their X. Some people say the X is just like when you have a formation where there's 3 wide receivers on one side and there's one on the other, the X is the one. So it might have nothing to do with size or ability or skill or that sort of thing. So I don't know. I say I bring that up because I don't necessarily know how Brian Callahan defines his X, because at one point it was I know Treylon Burks was like considered their X.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just a big bodied physical thing or what, but I think Kyle Williams could be an X.
You're fat pieces of shit go to X.
if it's just, okay, we're going to put our X one-on-one against man coverage, Kyle Williams can do that. Kyle Williams can shake a defensive back and get open on his side of the formation. But if it is more of a size thing, I think that's the knock with Kyle Williams, is that the physicality element of the game, he can get bodied up by bigger corners.
Do you think you need the big body X? Jeremy G says if Cam Ward is the pick, he needs a big body X.
So I think it's good. To me, I feel like you see a difference if you don't have that presence when you get to the red zone.
Mm.
When you have tighter windows, when you need like more of a contested catch guy, and you need somebody that can win above the rim. But here's the thing, Zach, that doesn't have to be a wide receiver. That can be your tight end. I don't, I'm not necessarily saying they have that guy on the roster right now, but to your point earlier, is if they get one of these big, long, stretched out tight ends, that could fill that role. So in theory, I don't know that you have to get like your big bodied X
Yeah.
wide receiver. I think they covet speed and they're going to want to add speed. To the
That's what it
receiving
feels
core.
like to me. Is like if you can find a guy that does both on
Yeah.
tape. I get that there's stuff that happens at the combine where someone can run a sprint at 4.4. When the pads come on, if they don't have
Yeah.
4.4 speed
Mhm.
on tape, doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
You gotta have it on tape.
So I think real quick in passing, there's two
Yeah.
guys that fit the role of like big bodied and still have speed. Jaden Higgins, I don't think he's an elite separator down the field, but I think he tested well enough to say there may be a speed guy in there. And then, unfortunately, Isaac Tisla.
Yeah, but they hate Isaac.
Tisla's like 6'4", and Arkansas looked at him and was like, "No, he is going to exclusively be our slot
He's
receiver."
almost Dante Thornton.
It's
That's
almost
another
Dante
guy.
Thornton.
I mean,
Dante Thornton's another guy. Yeah.
how many wide receivers did Titans draft? Do you think 2?
I think at least 2. But
At
I'm kind
least
of
2.
warming up to your idea. The way they're
Three.
they're doing a lot of work on this class, and they're doing work on guys that are going to be at the back end of this thing and the front end of this thing. So I think they're going to attack the position.
Including player trades. Right now, your sense of how many trades do they do?
I think it is. I'm going to say.
Including player trades.
I'm going to say they're going to trade one player and they're going to trade back at least once.
I think they're going to do 3 trades, and I think it's going to be 2 trade backs and 1 player trade. I
Interesting.
may be on the board with doing 2 player trades, so maybe kind of a toss up for that third one.
I just thought of, man, they might be active. What if they do 2 player trades and 2 trade backs?
They could. Give me 3 players nobody's talking about that you can't believe that nobody's talking about.
I would say, I feel like you and I have been on it this week in particular. I feel like JT Tuimoloau is being really underrated. I get that he's not like the shiniest toy in the toy box, but he's got a really good combination of speed and power, got productive tape. I think he can be, I think he's a guy that's going to be a stabilizing force in any pass rush rotation.
I get that people don't think his ceiling is high.
Yeah.
But also you can kind of create your own ceiling when you're an edge rusher.
Yeah.
If you're an elite run defender and an average pass rusher that gets you 9.5 sacks, you can create your own ceiling. But I look at JT and I was like, a couple of years ago, we were talking about him being the next great edge.
Yeah.
And then things kind of went weird 2 years ago in 2023. But in 2024, he showed who he was. He showed that guy again. And he was unbelievable. And he is just good. Like, I mean, really, he's great.
Yeah.
He's got the athleticism. He's got the production. He's got the size. He's got the intangibles like leadership. This idea that he's just another dude, or like maybe it's because Jack Sawyer existed and maybe he's getting like some Jack Sawyer,
the rub. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, JTT is fucking awesome. And if and listen, I understand that value wise, it would be a slight reach at 35. But if they walked away with JTT at 35, I'd be pretty happy.
I would be too. Yeah. 2 other players. I just got done talking to you about Ty Robinson. I mean, he is a just hard-nosed, roll up your sleeves, go to work kind of defensive lineman. He's got some really interesting tape. I think he's got good burst. I think he's
Whoa.
Let
me just say something. Ryan is 100% wrong and should have listened to the fucking radio better. He says Zach wants to trade Big Jeff. That is definitely not true, because I said I would not do it, but I would understand that they would. And he said that I would trade a third on the radio. That is exactly not what I said. I said that it would have to be a second and a third in this year's draft for me to even entertain it.
Yeah.
When I said that there was a third, I was talking about Chase Young, who got traded for a third, but he is a different player because I was going through my process of getting to Leonard Williams, who got traded for a second and a third.
Yeah.
So Ryan, critical listening skills are definitely needed on your end. And listen, no way I'm ever going to let anybody say shit about me because I did not say that. Maybe you need to know neither of us said that. I did not say a third and a fifth. I did not say I would do that. I did not say that's what he would get.
A third and a fifth.
That is not what I said. So I wouldn't necessarily. The caller. Oh, this is the difference. The caller, Peyton, that called in and initiated that conversation, he said a third and a fifth. I said that would not be enough. So I just want to throw that out there.
So Ty Robinson's really good.
Yeah, Ty Robinson's really good.
And the last one I'm going to mention is the tight end out of Alabama, C.J. Dupree. I think he's good tester.
Well, it's Dipper, right?
It's Dupree.
Dupree?
I confirmed it's Dupree.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a lot better if we could call him the Big Dipper.
Yeah. Well, we still can call him the Big Dipper.
Yeah, we can.
But I think he's really underrated, tested really well at the scouting combine. I think the movement ability shows up in flashes at Alabama, but they used him probably 90% as a blocker. Big squared up dude. He is a good blocker. I think he would add that element to the Titans tight end room, but I think you see the movement and the separation ability on shallow crossing routes where, especially on mesh concepts where they run guys in opposite directions, kind of tangles up the linebackers. He springs open. I think he's got a really good first step to get out and around the defensive end and up the seam. I think there's some real potential with him as a pass catcher, and he's already an established blocker. I think he could be a nice addition on the back end of this tight end group.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, and I told you this in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to sit here and try to trick me into another Alabama tight end. And I'm not saying that you do, but I have thought about 15 Alabama tight ends every year. I feel like come out, and I'm like, oh, this is the year that an Alabama tight end is going to be good in the NFL. And it has yet to happen.
I liked Cameron Latu as well. So
yeah, and
got me there.
Have not you.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I have a complex that we need to iron this out here. I need to get into therapy.
Yeah, I mean listen, I've the same thing. I've thought Irv Smith was going to be something.
Yeah.
OJ Howard was going to be really good.
Man. Yeah, I was really high on that.
Cameron Latu, CJ Dipper. Because what happens is in the Alabama offense, for those who may not watch a lot of Alabama football, you'll see 2 or 3 plays a year where the tight end looks really awesome. And you're like, why don't they throw to the tight end more?
Miller Forrestall.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
The Titans brought him to camp, and I was
Name a random Alabama tight end. There we go.
Yeah.
So no more Alabama tight ends. I'm with chill mode here. No more Georgia linebackers. I'm in on that as well.
Oh, so we're out on Smile Mondon?
Smell. Is it smile or smell?
Smile.
What? Smile. It's spelled smell, isn't it? It's spelled smell. All right.
What else? What's going on in the chat today?
Well, some are saying the favor Paul owes Seth Rollins now is to make sure Zach doesn't attack him. That's true.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Jeremy G says, I still think Jackson Dart is the best quarterback in the draft. We'll see in a year, though.
Should we unveil this right now?
Whatever you're about to unveil, just unveil it. Just keep it in your pants.
Should we wait until the draft guide comes back so that people can see where?
No, I don't want to talk about Tyler Shough tonight.
Well, no, I was going to say where I have Jackson Dart.
Well, yes, you can unveil that.
He's QB5.
Yeah.
I'm way low on Jackson Dart. I couldn't get anywhere with him. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. You're doing a lot of projecting with him, but there are some major question marks.
Who would you draft with your first overall pick out of these 2 players? Braun Breaker and Drew McIntyre.
Oh man, you're talking about production versus upside. I feel like I like upside, so give me Braun Breaker.
I mean, you saw that tackle. It was awesome.
Dan Jackson-esque.
Okay, so we got your 3 players. I would say my 3 players, I was going to do JT. I think is a
Okay.
good one to put on there. I mean, like that would have been one of mine. I would say Jonas Sanker. I really like Jonas
Man.
Sanker, the safety out of Virginia. I mean, there's just stuff that he does, and he did it down at the Senior Bowl where he's like closing in on everybody. Then he's in run defense, and he's doing this, and he's doing that. I'm just like,
Built like a linebacker,
in a
moves
year,
well.
in a playing a position like safety in college where it feels like you either get one or the other. You're either really great in coverage or you're really great in run defense. This is a guy that can do both.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the size, he's got the athleticism, and I think Jonas Sanker deserves more love. I was very happy that he made the top 100 in Dane Brugler's list.
I've had a hard time getting Virginia defense tape.
Yeah, UCLA or California defense is something that we talked about yesterday with Blaine. Noel Williams, Marcus Harris,
Teddy Buchanan.
Yeah. And Craig Woodson.
Yeah, Craig Woodson.
We're all in love with that California. At least Cover 2 is in love with that California defense.
They were good. They were surprisingly good in 2024. Good watch.
Yeah.
Scouting report on Noel Williams up at stackingtheinbox.com.
I would say the other guy that I think everybody's a little low on. Oof, that's tough. Because I would say Isaac Tesla or Tesla.
Well, people are catching on to him, though.
Yeah. I mean, let me just say, the mock draft consensus board shoots up right when we're at the Senior Bowl. Right when I tell everybody about Isaac Tesla. And just saying. But let me go somewhere real quick just so I can.
I think Kamir DK is a good answer here too, but I don't.
Tyler Barron, that's the guy I was trying to think of. From
okay.
Miami, the edge rusher out of Miami. Tyler Barron is way underrated, I feel like, in this edge class. He's all about production.
Mm-hmm.
He has got the athleticism out the ass too. And again, athleticism plus production usually means very good edge player.
Usually translates.
Just that position translates so well in those key areas. And listen, Chill Mode is with us. He goes, no, wait, the player I love that needs so much talk is Ty Robinson. We've talked about Ty Robinson tonight. Chill Mode may have missed that. But we are big Ty Robinson guys. Cover 2 today, we talked about Ty Robinson on the show with Blaine as well. Loves it.
Did you watch the Bad Boy Mowers pinstripe?
Oh, yeah. I asked him if he watched it.
I loved it so much, man. I mean, he was just 4 quarters. He's in there at the end of this game, just covered in mud and dirt, just playing his ass off. And he's an ass kicker, man. I like him.
All right, it's 7:30. We haven't eaten. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too, yeah.
Okay, so this has been Football and Other F Words. Stoney Keeley, at Stoney Keeley on Twitter.
One more thing.
What's your one more thing? Because I got a one more thing as well.
Do you realize there is only one more episode of Football and Other F Words before the draft?
Well, that's why I'm glad you brought that up, because next week we are going to unveil our all badass team.
Oh,
what do you think about that? You like
I love that. Yeah,
I was thinking about this when we were talking about Ty Robinson yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, and I was like, let's just draft badasses.
Just at each position.
At each position, all badass.
Oh
team.
man, I love that.
I love that. And we're gonna come up with the list together.
Okay.
And we're gonna do everything, and it's all badass team and final predictions next week. That is what it's going to be.
I love that.
Maybe we call it all badass MFers. All BAMF. The all BAMF team.
The all BAMF team, yeah.
The all BAMF team.
Yeah.
See, this is our creative process, and you guys are all part of it.
That's how we do
Next week, and Ty Robinson will probably be on that list. The all BAMF team. Yeah. Badass motherfuckers.
I love it. Ass kickers.
Let's do it. Ass kickers.
Yeah.
We're going to do that next week, our all BAMF team. Other than that, Stoney Keeley, at Stoney Keeley, stackingtheinbox.com, SoBursNetwork.com, Hot Read Podcast 440 Network. Cover 2 for me, Zach Lyons, 1 to 3 p.m. Basically, that's it.
Are we gonna give subscribers access to the big board?
Yeah, the big board will come through for subscribers. Stacking the Inbox. Our draft guide is almost complete. Will also be coming for Stacking the Inbox, and of course, I have not forgotten you guys. But Titans traits, I've kind of let it linger for a little bit. Titans traits will also be coming out for subscribers. So Stacking it. Basically, this weekend, wife's out of town. I'm going to be writing all kinds of articles just to get them out for you guys. right there.
I've got a whole list of articles that it's going to be coming in the next couple of weeks too.
Ooh, we already got a really good answer for the all Banff team. Willie Lampkin at center.
Yeah, I'm with it.
This is going to be one of the best parts, the all Banff team. That will do it for us. This has been Football and Other F Words, and you have just been effed.
Boom.